Hello, heroes! Thank you all for tuning in to the 27th episode of the Nexus podcast. As usual, I am your host, Adam Eastwood, and this week we have a bunch to talk about, some data-mined information. We're going to finish off the patch notes. We even have a special guest this week as well. So we'll get right into it. We have our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hi, everybody. It's a hot time, summer in the city. Very excited to be here tonight and talk a little bit of post-patch heroes.
And we have the lifestyle geek, Joshua Williams.
Hey everybody, hope everyone's having a good Friday night. I'm excited to be here, talk about some of the new stuff that we discovered this week.
Oh, for sure. We have our Blizzard and eSport enthusiast, Ben Blazik.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's strapped in and ready to continue our conversation from last week, as well as dive into some new information.
And last but certainly not least, co-host of the Converted podcast and Commanding Shout, Navox. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Adam, Ben, Josh, and David? Thanks for having me on this evening.
Oh, we're glad you could make it. We're glad to get some more people onto the show, kind of talk heroes. It's all about the community, having fun. So every time we have someone on for the first time, Josh and Ben both will know, is we kind of have some basic questions for you, get people to know you before we kind of, shoot the proverbial poop, as you might say, about the game. So, Navox, how did you get started in podcasting? I know it's a little bit of a loaded question from me and you, but why don't you let everyone know?
It's actually okay. Well, when I came over because I watched Zug, Coltrane, and Darius on Convert to Raid, and then I joined the guild, and then I'd be playing on Friday night, Saturday night, and everybody would be doing these podcasts. I got into watching Torrent Think Tank, I got into watching Press Y podcast, and I was like, that's really fun. I want to get involved with that. And then I think things just fell into place where you were like, hey, are you interested in doing a podcast? I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do a podcast. We actually started up and did that random Geekcast, and it was a fun experience doing that, and it just kind of went on from there, where then Sal and Belschnickel approached me and said, hey, we would like you to come co-host on the Converted podcast. I was like, wow, that's great. Absolutely. And then Dunlock came over to me and said, hey, you play a warrior. Why don't you come on why don't we do Commanding Shout? We need a prot warrior to talk about things. So I do, Commanding Shout with Dunlock, Torrage, Agathon, and, Tengenstein from Tank Spot. So we record, every so often. I think we're not trying to record weekly. We're trying to record monthly, actually, because there's not a whole lot of stuff to talk about warrior-wise. But other than that, that's about it. And like I tell everybody, if you have a chance and you like to listen to podcasts and you have a chance to get into podcasting, get into it. If somebody says, hey, come on the show, you want to be a guest, say yes, get on the show. It's so much fun. I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great time. Let's get into some hero questions for you. So, what is your favorite feature in Hero? Now, what I mean by that is, they have the team leveling that they don't have in other games. They have the ability to do the specialist heroes. What kind of feature in the game kind of makes you like Heroes over maybe playing like a League of Legends?
I absolutely love the team aspect of Hero. I found that as long as you're moving around the map and killing things, you're actually part of the team and you're soaking XP for the team. I also like the fact that pardon me. I like the fact that it is the fact that I can't just run up and kill somebody by myself. I need to have somebody else with me. So it is actually, it is later on in levels, I might get lucky with Zeratul, if I could find somebody by themselves. But for the most part, I actually do like playing with a team. So when you get 5 guys all in voice communication, discussing strategy, working the map, things like that, I really, really enjoy it a lot. I think Blizzard did a really good job with this. I played a little bit of League, not a whole lot, but the environment there, in my opinion, wasn't exactly the best environment for me, so to say. And this one seems to be a little more friendlier.
Yep.
Without
no, for sure.
Without bashing on League. I don't want to bash on League. I'm just
we don't want to be toxic towards another game, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So before getting into the alpha, who did you think your favorite hero was going to be?
Okay, before getting into alpha,
Yeah.
I thought my favorite hero was going to be Raynor. I liked the idea of playing a ranged class right off the bat, but I also wanted to play a tank class. So I thought, s- I thought Arthas was going to be my favorite because I'm like, okay, this guy looks like a warrior and he looks big and tough. That's going to be my favorite one, and it went completely opposite for me.
And
So
then now that you've been playing for a little bit, you've been in it for 2-3 weeks at least that I know of.
right. Mm-hmm.
Who would you, if you had to pick one hero that you could only play from here on out, who would you pick?
Zeratul, hands down. Love it. Love playing Zeratul. I love the whole rogue aspect of it. I like being able to just, I learned real quick. I was a big Call of Duty guy, and you can't really, like in Call of Duty, you can jump into a game and just go at it and just do whatever you want and kill people. This game, not so much. You can't just run around and kill people. Um, you know, I like, and I also learned some things with Zeratul where you actually helped me out with hiding in environments and things like that. I didn't know that. Okay, if you're stealth, go hide in the grass, and it makes it harder for things like that. But I like the whole stealth aspect of Zeratul a lot,
Yeah, he's often. I haven't.
and he's bursty. I like the bursty aspect of him, and he also the one ability. I think it's his third tier ability, fourth tier ability, where it adds a damage over time when you come out for 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, you get
And then
the
stealth.
extra damage when you come
Yeah.
out.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I haven't been able to get my hands on Zeratul too much, but I've never done really well with Zeratul. Honestly, I've kind of stuck with specialists and Tyrael now because Tyrael's the man.
Tyrael is awesome.
So let's go ahead and we'll hit our week in gaming real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Ben. What have you been doing in Heroes and other games that I know you're playing, Trader?
Hey now. I actually managed to play a ton of Heroes of the Storm this week, so that trader title doesn't fly this week. I played all day Monday. Was on a massive win streak. I was undefeated the entire day. Met up with these two guys. Was using voice comms and playing. Was doing awesome. Played all day Wednesday. Lost every game but two. So I raged a little bit and I quit playing Heroes. So then I went back to Arcade for like a little bit and played Heroes again today. It was pretty balanced. So it's been a massive week of Heroes and just waiting for Wildstar.
Yeah, everyone seems to be waiting for Wildstar. I'm on the edge. I don't know if I'm gonna pull the plug. Pull the plug. I don't know if I'm gonna pull the plug or anything.
It's a good one.
Wow.
Pulling the plug on heroes is
Yeah.
our last track.
Josh, what have you been doing in game?
I've mainly played Heroes of the Storm, but there is this beta game that I've been playing on Steam. It's EverQuest Landmark. And that's interesting. It's like Minecraft, but it looks like Fable to me, graphically wise. So it's a lot of fun. But other than that, I'm with Ben, waiting for Wildstar to go up at 3 a.m. my time, which is in just less than 5 hours away. So we'll see if I stay up the whole time until it comes out.
And play some Heroes because we might lose you for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what'll happen when I get into that Wildstar.
It depends on how good it is, I guess.
Yeah,
David, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of WoW actually. My raid team's getting really close to bringing down normal Garrosh. So this latest round of upgrades that you can get, everyone's really trying to grind to get that. I'm also really enjoying the spec switch to fire. I don't think I could really go back to arcade now, and I already hate frost. So I'm really, really enjoying fire. It's the first time I've played that spec in WoW. I've been playing a lot of heroes. Really, I've been toying around with the cloak classes a lot. All to what Nav was saying, I love playing Zeratul. I just suck at it, unfortunately. It's a lot of fun, but I'm getting myself killed all the time. So actually, I've been switching over to Nova quite a bit, which just sort of seems a little bit safer for me. And I've really fallen in love with precision strikes with Nova. I know a lot of people do triple tap, but I just feel that you can, especially using overdrive, you can really do a lot of impact, have a lot of impact on the game with precision strike. I'm really not at all interested in Wildstar. I did kind of the MMO tango a couple of years ago with SOTOR and Guild Wars 2, and so I'm kind of just happily married to WoW now. I'm not really straying at the moment.
Oh, the difference between those games and WildStar's actually good.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh,
games too, and it's just I'm kind of like like the old married couple. It's like I don't even have the strength to stray.
David, I'm with you there, man. I'm with you there.
I understand.
I'm like on the fence, but that's what I'm like. I'm like, yeah, why go anywhere else? I'm happy where I am. Navox, what games have you been playing?
Well, I got into the Heroes Alpha, so I've been playing a lot of that. But other than that, I'm with David. I play World of Warcraft. I raid, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And my team this week, the Boats and Hose rated team, we got heroic spoils down to 0% 2 times, and that was very, very annoying. We wiped at 0%. And every time we wiped, I'd get a slew of tells going, how do you wipe at 0%? What's going on with you guys? Well, if you don't kill the boss in the time frame where he can charge the lever needed to throw the gate, you end up dying. So it was a little frustrating. But other than that, other games that I've been playing, Skyrim. I keep bouncing in and out of Skyrim. I absolutely love Skyrim. But it like I'll forget about playing Skyrim, and I'll go back to playing it, and then I'll do nothing but play Skyrim for like a week, and then I'll go back to playing WoW and bouncing back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's been pretty much Heroes of the Storm other than my one night of raiding, and I have finally got to level 40.
Wow.
And now I have nothing to do. Like, I want there to be a rank mode now. Like, that's
a prestige mode.
A prestige mode, something. Like, I feel like now I'm there, and I don't know what else to do other than just play with friends and help them get there.
The whole point of the game is to play and smash noobs.
Yeah, well,
That's
it doesn't happen too much because I'm still a noob.
To tag on what you said a second ago, as far as I play WoW, why play anything else? What can we no longer do in World of Warcraft? 40-man rating. Hello.
Yes.
That's what WildStar will have.
Dude, real quick, you're going to start 40-man rating, and you're like, man, I wish I only had to do this with 10 people. Or 25 people.
Dude, I miss the original 40-man Nax. Like, hands down, that was the greatest.
Oh, man.
It's like the nostalgia thing. Remember it fondly, but I remember when I first tried raiding, and it was a pain to get those people together.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing, but it was still amazing nonetheless.
Yeah, if it works, it will work and it'll be fun. But if it doesn't, you're gonna want to kill yourself.
I'm sure it'll work just fine. Only reason why it doesn't now is because Blizzard made it easier. Well, it wasn't a mistake. They just made it easier for people to get into raiding without needing 40 people.
Look at Convert to Raid. That's why me and Navox met each other. Yep. That's how me and David met each other. Like,
the bad thing
is I've been raiding since Molten Core myself, so I miss those old days. I'm with Ben.
The bad thing is when you're a new player, and like, let's say for example, if I loaded into WoW right now and I leveled somebody from 1 to 90, like within a week, and I was like, all right, guys, so who wants to do some runs with me so I can get to know people a little bit better and get geared? The response is going to be go do LFR until your gear score is this. Or that's not what I want to hear.
My answer to you would be join the right guild and you'll have no problem.
The problem is that's now become the flood market. Right. It's like 70% of the guilds say that crap. Mm-hmm. So,
I was a rat baby, so I don't even know a world without that.
Oh,
40-man raids.
See, I did 40-man raids. I did 40-man raids too, but I mean, I was very, very happy when we finally got our 10-man raids with, Karazhan and things like that. I was happy with that. I don't want to go back to 40-man raiding. I'm not interested in doing 25-man ratings. Even a little, it's nice, because you can burn bosses down a little bit faster with 25-man, and you have more reses and things like that. But other than that, I'm not interested in anything larger than that at the moment. And in fact, Mythic rating's 20 now? They're going to lower it to 20. So
I think so.
Oh wow,
that'll be the magic number, 20.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say, to get into the 40-man, you have to complete the 20-man, get attuned to it, and then you go into the 40-man, and then
I miss the attunements.
Well, sorry, it's too hardcore for you guys, but you do the 20-man, then you go into the 40-man, and the bosses are not going to be the same bosses as the 20-man. So at least they're altering it up a little bit, so where you just don't go straight into 40-man.
So, to save us from becoming a WildStar podcast, let's go ahead and
Well, we got the name. It's Nexus, isn't it? It's the planet Nexus, right?
Nexus fits for every game, I noticed. And
Yep.
one of these days, I'm going to get like a bad iTunes thing, be like, they weren't talking about WildStar.
Let's point him to this episode.
Yeah.
You can get some guy running Wrath content complaining it's not about the dungeon.
Okay, so let's go ahead and hit right into the news. There was some data mined information on heroesnexus.com, and I just thought it was something to be pretty fun to talk about. The first one is this Founders Pack that we're kind of seeing here. Ben, what do you think of the idea of buying into a beta through a Founders Pack? Wow. No.
Okay, so some games it works. Okay, it's like the whole market is now flooded with this. Everywhere you go, everybody's trying to make a quick buck. My personal opinion is that they ruin the development cycle when they do stuff like this. I preached about this on my own podcast like 3 weeks ago. The one thing I've always loved about Blizzard, they never did this kind of stuff until recently. Kind of comparable situation with WoW would be the only one that they've really done. I don't think it should be an option at all. I think it should just roll out as it was originally intended to, and we shouldn't allow people to buy in at all.
And David, what do you think? Do you agree with Ben?
Well, I mean, just to clarify for people who don't know, the Founders Pack essentially is you get beta access, and you also get what they're saying is a wolf mount made out of pure gold, which I assume is just digital, not an actual wolf mount made out of pure gold. Otherwise, it sounds like a really good deal. So in that case, I mean, to me, it depends where they price it, really. Because, I mean, they mentioned this is the second time Blizzard's done that. The last time's been with the annual pass, but I don't really count that because you were getting a pretty good deal with the annual pass anyway. It was just something that was thrown in. So, to me, if this is priced sort of similar to what they're charging for mounts already, then to me that's cool because they're just kind of throwing it in. It's kind of getting your wetting your whistle a little bit with the idea of microtransactions, and you're getting something for the value, for your money anyway. If this is something where it really feels like you're paying extra to get into the beta, I think it's a really bad slippery slope to get into. To what Ben was saying, I mean, we don't want to be doing your development cycle around how to make a quick buck. And I don't see why a company like Blizzard would have to. Look at the money they've already made from Hearthstone. And they kind of just sort of fell into that money. I don't think they expected that to be as big as it was. So to me, it all depends where they price it. If it's a freebie along with buying a mount, I think it's a great idea. If not, then, I got some issues with it too.
Navox, Josh, either of you guys kind of have a feeling about this?
I'm with David. If it's priced right, I don't see a problem with it. But if it's the same price as some of the other mounts, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to be that player that wants to collect all the mounts. I just am. I'm going to be that person, and
all the skins.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be also something like this? We'd have to buy into it as well if we want to get that mount, I think, right? I mean, other than that, I mean, we're not going to be able to. I mean, hey, as long as it's not, too expensive or anything like that, I don't really see an issue with it. The community will, as long as Blizzard keeps up with what they're saying about keeping the community, friendly and clean at the moment, I'm okay with it. Because we still are getting some of those games where people come in and want to tell us how bad we are in colorful words. Yeah, exactly.
And Josh, anything to add?
Same thing there with David. Depends on the price point. It does bring up a point though that maybe depending how much it is, it can help weed out the jerks instantly because they're not instantly getting in. They'll have to pay to get in. I don't know. Only thing I do hope is that since we already are in, we stay in and we don't have to get kicked out and then hopefully get our name drawn or buy into the beta. And I know that they said that you get something for testing the store. I think, didn't you say that, David, on Twitter to me?
Yeah, eventually.
You get something for testing the store.
Kind of like they did with Hearthstone.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be that wolf mount.
Yeah.
So, what I think is, I think they're kind of saying to people who've been complaining that they didn't get in and saying, "Oh, I just spent all this money on the game. You could just take my money now." They're almost kind of saying, "Hey, put up or shut up." If you,
Yeah.
you know, they're gonna offer a beta with a founders pack, and if you're that serious about playing, go ahead and put the money in. I think they're also worried about kind of the backlash if they go on too long without letting people into the beta, especially with the alpha, because it's been out for about 3 months now. So I think if they go too long and the alpha and the beta process too long without letting people at least get in some way guaranteed, then you're going to lose on the other end when it eventually comes out, because people will be like, "Oh, I'm so sick of it now. I never got in." At least now it's saying, "Hey, you had a chance to get in. It's not our fault."
I think too. I mean, we mention this almost every week, but I mean, the alpha is a beta, really. Yeah. I mean, like they're hardly just testing server loads at this point. They're testing balancing and everything like that. So and I've seen a lot of people get invites lately as well. So if this kind of rounds it out, like you said, gets people to kind of put up or shut up kind of thing, then it gets more people in, and that's good. Like I said, it's all a price point.
And now, Ben, considering you kind of had the opposite opinion of the rest of us, we'll go ahead and give you the last word on this topic.
Okay, so here's what I fear about this whole thing, right? Blizzard has had a way they have developed games for 20 years now, okay? It's a very specific pattern that they follow, and it's worked. Nothing has been wrong with it at all. They've actually done alphas and betas the way they were supposed to be, the original intention behind the programs. And now the entire industry is changing to where alphas and betas and pre-releases and, hey, we're going to let you actually play the game. It's going to ruin half of it for you. Testing is no longer a privilege. It's just, hey, I'm just getting in and playing. People are, the population that are reporting bugs is declining. So my fear is that this is going to open the floodgates on them doing this to all of their games and then kind of ruin the games itself. Because a lot of things we've seen from pre-release content for a lot of game companies itself over the past 2 years is that the titles essentially get ruined. They get released in an alpha state, and they can put the disclaimer on there, "Oh, it's an unfinished product in alpha testing," when really they just wanted to get it out the door and make money off of everybody. And so I fear that might be the path they go down if they start to be like, "Oh, well, we did it with Heroes. Let's do it with StarCraft or something like that." It's not necessary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I can definitely see where you're coming from. I know what they're doing. I think, like you said, that there's just a big difference between what a beta used to be and what it is now. And now it's I don't know. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad, but we'll see in the future, I guess. The next little bit of datamined information that we saw was kind of an early map preview. It has plants, zombies, and a groundskeeper. Basically, what it looks like is you're going to be collecting seeds during what's like a night phase as you're getting attacked by zombies. And then you're going to plant those seeds to make some kind of shambling horror of a plant monster to attack your enemy. Not Ben. I'll go with David first this time. David, what do you think of this? Do you think it's too much like Haunted Mines? That's kind of what I feel, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, that was sort of my first instinct. I'm like, isn't this just Haunted Mines? But I mean, really, the big difference is that you're not dealing with a set amount of skulls, right? That there's just 100 and you fight over it. And when everyone's collected 100, that's when it activates the event. I mean, you actually have to run to get the 100, and then it activates your event. And, your plant horror monster thing can be up when theirs isn't. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a little bit more strategy. I actually kind of like this better than Haunted Mines. Plus, it'll be kind of interesting to see the concept on presumably a 3-lane map as opposed to a 2-lane map, assuming they go with that. So actually, I'm kind of all in favor of this. I kind of like the direction also from a flavor point of view. They're going with plants versus zombies. I'm just eagerly awaiting the Angry Birds map.
You have to send over your birds to kill their pigs. What's red and what's blue? Pigs or birds? We don't know yet. Anybody else have any thoughts about this map?
I think it sounds really cool. Like David said, you can use, since you have to wait until you collect 100 seeds to be able to summon it, you can add some strategy into it, because you can be like, okay, let's wait until we take down theirs, and then we'll summon ours. But it doesn't say it in here unless I'm missing it, reading it. It doesn't say when you can summon the plant horde. I'm guessing you can only summon it during the daytime, just for the fact that plants need light. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing at night you fight the zombies, and then it summons the plant horde during the daytime. Another thing it doesn't say is whenever you summon the plant horde, it doesn't say you have to do a certain action to summon it, or as soon as you collect 100, it automatically summons. So I'm interested to see how they do with that. It sounds really cool, but something we do have to say here, the disclaimer, Blizzard has not made an official announcement about this map, so it could just not even come out. But from what it looks like, from what they data mined, it looks like it's a real map that's coming out, and it sounds really fun. I'm excited to see it.
And what it looks like is, if you kind of look over kind of the groundskeeper voiceover stuff, you actually see where it says plant here to summon a horror we can control. So it's almost a little bit. I wonder if the person who plants it actually controls it, similar to like Dragonshire. Almost like this is like a mix between Dragonshire and Haunted Mines and collecting and day-night. It's interesting. I like how they have all the voiceover stuff, because it kind of gives you a little hint into what else is going on. Or what else might go on in the map, I should say, because like you said, it is not official. It's just hearsay at this point.
Yep.
Any thoughts, Ben or Navox?
I like the day-night cycle. I think that's going to be pretty cool to see. Other than that, I'm just really waiting to see if it's going to be real or not.
See, Haunted Mines is my favorite map right now, so I'm excited about this. Out of all the maps that they have right now, Haunted Mines is my favorite. I think it's just because of who I'm playing and whatnot. And I can go down there and collect skulls, and we kill the middle ogre, whatever that thing is, the golem. We kill the golem just fine down there. I like that whole idea. So,
I just want a new map. Honestly, after 3 months, I feel like it's time for it. Especially because you can still get on those streaks where you just play one map for like 5-6 times in a night. I think adding another map is going to give you just a little bit more chance to get something different, because I think that's what I like most about the game at this point, is the different maps.
I wonder what the maximum amount of maps they can hit is, though, and still be accessible to people. Because if there's so many maps to keep track of, then eventually, new players are just going to feel a little overwhelmed.
Well, that's where they talked about switching it out as far as like seasons, kind of like StarCraft ladder maps are.
I think a good number would be 7. And the reason I say that is because I say there's 7, you can blacklist 2, so there's a group of 5 that you can play at any time. And then you have a little bit of an option of what you like and what you don't like. That might be a little high, but I think it's a good amount.
I like 7. It's a good number.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll
if you
come
can't
out with a bunch of maps.
If you can't blacklist any, I would say 5 then. But if you can, then 7, because then you can be prepared for 5 of them. I don't think that's too many. And then every season, these are the 7 you can choose from. And it changes, StarCraft does every 3 months or so?
Yeah, I just hope they don't go down the blacklisting path, that's all.
You don't like blacklisting?
No, I think then you're going to get into all kinds of weird meta things where it's like, oh, I can't believe you're playing Nova on Blackheart's Bay, you idiot, that kind of thing. So it's like I think I'd still like. I mean, we've talked about this in the past with banning and things like that. I like the idea of you having to be ready for any situation with any hero.
And then finally, for news for this week, there was information about Justin Browder kind of talking about catch-up mechanics in the game. One of the main one that they kind of talked about was the fact that it's going to be really hard to get more than 3 levels ahead of your opponent. Basically, there's going to be a constant trickle of XP that's going into the lower of the 2 teams. Ben, you're a very competitive player. If I had to pick one person on the panel here that's the most competitive, it would be you. So I'm going to kind of shoot at you on that for that respect. What do you think about not being able to out-level by more than 3?
I honestly don't see really that much what people are crying about. Why would you ever really need to be more than 3 levels ahead of another team? If you are more than 3 levels ahead of a team, you are severely punishing them. They can barely do any damage to you. Your stats are extremely higher than theirs are. Anytime you get into a situation where you're even 2 levels higher than the other team, you are pretty much laying the hammer down on top of them. And the only way they're coming back is if you back off of them and they're doing the objectives and they're soaking more lanes of XP than you are. So personally, I don't see a problem with it, and people just need to chill with that whole meta stuff because you're just gonna ruin the game that way. I mean, capping it at 3, I don't have a problem.
Any of you guys just kind of chime in with your thoughts?
No, I absolutely agree because one level is enough to notice a difference, but 3 levels, I mean, that's you're murdering them at that point. I mean, and if it goes any higher than that, there's no reason to keep playing the game. I mean, the other team's going to quit out on you, and you don't want that. You want people to finish a game. You don't want people to quit out early.
Yeah.
It's funny, as probably one of the least competitive people on the panel, I actually disagree with you guys. I don't like this catch-up mechanic. I've said it before. I call it the NBA Jam mechanic because I just hate these artificial catch-up mechanics in any game. I mean, I did read the forum post, and one thing that the poster said was that this was actually affecting the way he plays. Because if they're at level, I think you used this example, I'm at level 10, they're at level 7. They were actually backing off at that point because they figured, well, we might as well keep it sort of at these levels for now, because if we get up to level 11, essentially we're giving them a free level and we're letting them get closer to 10. So it's better to just sort of do what damage we can now and wait as long as possible to let them get to 10. I mean, the thing is, it's not just a matter of, them catching up by, laning and doing the objectives. There's also a huge XP difference when you're in any kind of team fight. So, it makes you sort of not even want to engage in team fights at that point. Just sort of pull back, do the mercs, do everything like that. I hadn't really thought about it, but I did see it a lot this week where essentially it's like we're rolling, we're up 10-7. All of a sudden one team fight goes wrong and we're down 11-10 like that. Mm-hmm. Like it moved extremely fast, and I think it's just a matter of tuning right now. Because I do feel like it's almost like a rubber band effect where you're just kind of like, it's like you get ahead, but then you pull the other team and then they get ahead and then you're getting ahead of them. It just feels a little too herky-jerky right now.
Now, see, I'll go with you on the whole tuning part. We are in alpha. We still need a lot of fine balance tuning that's going to happen over probably within the next year alone. But that's the whole thing. You're ahead. You should be capitalizing while you're ahead. You should not be backing off just because there's an XP gap that they're going to catch up if you screw up one time. If you have that large of an XP gap, in most cases, not saying every, but most cases, you have more map control than they do. You are more accessible to the merc camps. You should be pushing all merc camps, and you should just end the game right there. If you're 3 levels ahead, you can drop the hammer and end the whole game. You should not be backing off and letting it screw with your mindset. You should be killing them right then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, from my point of view, the way I'm thinking is that, we had to be that much better in the early game to get 3 levels ahead. But if they end up being just as good, as much better in the next part of the game than we are, they're going to be 3 levels ahead of us when all is said and done. Because we were just getting regular XP killing them, and now they're getting this enhanced XP up to catching up to us, and then they, move past us. I kind of like the idea of, if I'm that much better than you, and then you're an equal amount better than me over the same stretch of time, it should be a tie game. You know what I mean?
And that's the counterpunch.
If I'm playing hockey and I score 3 goals, and then you score 3 goals, but your goals count as 2 goals until you tie it up. Well, you're going to be up 6-3, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm a little concerned about. Right?
And that plays into part of their design philosophy as well. That they wanted the game to be for you to be able to swing back fast, and League of Legends or Dota 2. When you get that far ahead in that game, you can't really swing back as much unless you truly capitalize on team fights. They wanted this game to where you could swing back very, very rapidly and pull it back to a tie game. So it fits.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think about it until David actually said that he saw it happen. I saw it happen 4 or 5 times last night where my team was significantly ahead and there was that backlash. So I think maybe it's a little tuned to them getting a little too much XP, because we were still capitalizing on, grabbing mercenary camps, trying to, push down towers, but they were able to still catch up even though we were doing that stuff. And I really like the point that Dustin Browder makes when he says, you've won the leveling game, now go win the rest of the game, the mercenary camps,
right,
destroying towns. It's a really cool way of looking at it, and I don't disagree, but I think they catch up a little too quick at this point. It's just not tuned quite right.
One of the problems would probably be like if you're ahead, and what I've seen a lot of people do, they'll grab 3 merc camps right then and there. Like, okay, well, let's let 3 camps just push. You can't leave them alone. You got to push with them. You can't just, as soon as you leave them alone, they run into the enemy team. Boom. That's when they're catching up in XP because they're killing the merc without any opposition.
Yep. Josh, you've been pretty quiet about it. What do you think?
Well, I've been trying to chime in, but everyone to keep going. So, I have a few things to say. I think maybe you guys get 3 levels ahead and then they catch up. Maybe you guys just got lucky at the beginning of the match, and you guys aren't really as good as you think you are, and then they start showing their and the other team starts showing that they can start working together, maybe with their chat, and who knows. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why they're actually pulling ahead faster than the actual the catch-up effect that they have going on. I'm sure that helps, but they could be better than they seem. Another thing, like I said, every podcast needs a jerk, and I feel like I'm that jerk. This person complaining on a forum said you can't listen to people QQing about Snowball. It's not like this person on here is QQing about it because he got stomped a couple times because he's sucking. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, you have to have a jerk, and I'll gladly take that step to be the jerk on the podcast. But, I mean, you can stop it. You can, if your team is really that good, as I feel like Ben was saying, if your team's really that good, this won't affect you that much. You guys can still overcome it.
Now, here's a question, though, right? Does this affect the meta in a sense that, let's say, I mean, for lack of a better word, I'm going to use Hearthstone terminology. Let's say you comp, as do an aggro comp, right? Where basically you're all set up to, like, you got demolitionist, you got all your talents are the ones that pop up right away, poison, that kind of thing. And that's your build. And, you're great in the early game, you're pushing. Doesn't this system put that team at a disadvantage? Because if my team's going all path of the warrior, path of the assassin, everything that scales up in later game, I've already got that advantage in the later game. Plus I'm going to get all of this, catch up mechanic. It's almost, to me, if I was designing a team with it tuned the way right now, I would basically design it so that, okay, I'm going to be strong from 15 to 20. I'm going to set up my talents that way because I know, what? If I get behind in the beginning, it's no big deal. Just, try and weather the storm and then we'll kill them later on because we're going to get all kinds of, added bonuses plus the ingrained bonuses of the way we set up our talents.
But it also depends on how well the other team is. Just because they have this in place doesn't mean that your team's automatically going to start winning once you get behind in that aspect, as you were saying. When you get to 15, as you're saying, 15 for your talents, just because you get there doesn't mean your team's still going to be as good as the other team. The other team can still be extremely good and just stomp you guys.
So it's going to come into the team aspect as far as down to team fighting. The proper initiation with the proper focus. If you're not targeting the right person, boom, someone's going to come up behind you in that team fight and they're just going to wipe your whole team. So it's really going to come down to when it gets to that point, it's all about the team fighting.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to finish off these patch notes from last week. We have a couple more heroes to kind of go through. I think we'll skim by a couple real quick just because they didn't have much in terms of changes. Maybe some that we didn't really play too much. Now, it's funny. When the first hero we're going to go over is Murden. And when I first saw Murden, I actually thought Navox would be perfect for Navox because playing a warrior, he's definitely like your stereotypical dwarven warrior, kind of like the iconic D&D character where he stuns,
right,
and just runs into combat flailing with 2 weapons, which is so funny that I wonder, Navox, have you played Murden at all?
I have not played him at all, but now that you said that, I might go pick him up and start playing with him. I was hoping to have Varian as a hero class because he's, as an alliance character, he's the guy, I want to play. But I might try this Murden out because I didn't know that you could do all that. I didn't know he had a charge. I didn't know he had all that stuff. Yeah. So,
and he didn't have any major changes to his basic kit. I know his Stormbolt, the reduction to the mana, that helps a lot so you can throw more often. That's his stun ability. Sledgehammer. Oh man, that is an awesome ability now, because you can use your Stormbolt to deal 400% extra damage to towers and get rid of 4 ammunition. He can really burn down ammunition, especially if paired with like a Gazlowe or a Witch Doctor. And they finally made Thunderclap more useful, where you can actually, with the talent, deal more damage on a single target person, which I think was a major problem that it had. Was if you were one-on-one, Thunderclap had no use whatsoever. So now, if you are expecting that, you want to grab the talent level 13 Thunderstrike to deal 300% more damage. Pretty cool. Anybody have any thoughts on Muradin? I played a bunch of them over the past couple of weeks, so that's why I kind of was able to talk about him a bit.
Just definitely a lot better. He's you can't leave him unchecked now. He's definitely a lot more of a threat. So I like it.
Mm-hmm. Now we have Naziba, the Witch Doctor. David, you're the doctor of the show. So what are your thoughts on the Witch Doctor changes?
I like them. I think Death Ritual always did feel a little underpowered. I'm not sure if it's overpowered now, at least not necessarily in respect to other heroes, but just in respect to the other talents. They've really nerfed Bride. So that's something that had already been done. But right now I'm just going Death Ritual every single time. The Bride doesn't help you a lot, because when you get the Minion Killer, which is the way I like to play it, next talent level up, you can pretty much melt down Merc camps anyway, so Bride doesn't get you a whole lot, whereas this gets you that permanent health and mana gain, being doubled basically from before. I've definitely switched to Gargantuan now, as opposed to Ravenous Souls, especially if you're using your Wall of Zombies right. That nice, popping that AoE damage around it when it's summoned, already putting that the opposing hero behind, and then you're trapping them in this Wall of Zombies with this your Humongoid guy there. Is pretty deadly. I've seen my Gargantuan take out 2 or 3 heroes within seconds of launching them. So personally, I love what they've done with them. I've been playing them a lot because I think it's great. I also, I heard on another podcast mention, the really interesting thing, or actually, no, I think it was their little YouTube thing about specialists. I never kind of realized it, because I would just think of it as cone attacks, but like every single one of his attacks is summoning something. So the fact that they're really the Gargantuan is really the primo, minion that you summon. I like the fact that they boosted it and made it really relevant.
And with it given the AoE, it kind of, from playing League, it gives you that feel of Tibbers, Annie, like just throwing up this big crazy monster and it deals damage in an area. And I feel like it needs a better name than Gargantuan. It needs a name like Tibbers, so you can yell it easily while you do it.
Hey man, I yell out Humongoid as much as possible once you get the level 20 talent. I mean, one thing I did leave out too is that it's taken 50% reduced damage from structure, so it really kind of gives you your own. It's like having your own Merc camp basically if you're laning. So that's something, if you do decide to go with Demolitionist talent, it's very useful. You can pretty much like single lane with Witch Doctor right now.
Mm-hmm. Now for Nova, the main change that I see here. Is that you actually have a second to cast your snipe ability after uncloaking, which makes it so you can use your wounding shot first and then snipe somebody and get the enhanced damage from ambush snipe. Man, I think I thought that was something they should do a while ago, but I was like, it might be a little too overpowered, especially with wounding shot and getting the bonus damage with a talent later on. But I'm glad to see it happen. I always felt like it was supposed to be a combo where you do wounding shot and then snipe, and you could never do it right if you took the ambush and snipe. Yet again, David, you said you've been playing a little bit of Nova. Have you kind of, feel stronger with this? What are your kind of thoughts?
Well, I was always going with wounding shot, even though I was picking that talent, so I was probably doing it wrong before. But I'm glad that they've put this in to help me out personally. Like I never understood why you wouldn't.
They were watching you.
They were watching you play.
Okay, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're watching me for other reasons. But yeah, I mean, to me, it never made sense to go with snipe first. It's like I want to slow them down. I got a good range, wounding shot. It's something that I always try to launch with. So I'm glad that it makes a lot of sense now. The fact that you can get the railgun talent later that actually kind of shoots through people. Kind of weird flavor for a sniper, but hey, whatever works. and they've done some holo decoy boosts because no one was really choosing it. I'm still not choosing it though. I believe it's on the same talent level as Overdrive, and like I mentioned before, I like using that with combining that with Precision Strike, so I can basically AOE anyone on the map for huge damage.
Now, any of you guys play Raynor at all lately, or maybe before the patch? I'm not
Played
a
him
big
before
Raynor
the
fan.
patch. I like the battle cruiser thing, but that's about it. I mean, I've not been a big Raynor guy
Yeah, you go
lately.
calling in the Hyperion.
Yeah,
No, yeah, the Hyperion did get a couple. Definitely a boost, but it's weird that like the way the Hyperion now evenly distributes the 4 targets per volley between eligible targets. Like before, did it feel like it centered on one person? I don't know. I didn't do it too often. Anyone?
It always felt like it targeted me.
Yeah.
I always seem to face off against him in a lane when I'm Tychus, and I think he's a little kind of a dick, but I won't really go into him too much.
Yeah,
So.
I think the reduction on health generated per level was big because I thought that his health was a little too high for being an assassin, and having the heal ability mixed in was a little rough. So I'm glad to see him with the reduced health, because we can actually kill him at this point, where before I don't think you could really. I felt like he was invincible.
It was a little rough.
Now, Sergeant Hammer. I think Ben, you're a Sergeant Hammer player, right?
Yeah, decently. I don't play him as much as I do Tychus and Uther, but I feel like she is really, really powerful right now. Like I've seen a lot of team comps, especially after all these changes. They're stacking the whole team on top of Sergeant Hammer mid-game, and they're just guarding Sergeant Hammer, and Sergeant Hammer is siege moding and just blowing down the walls and going forward. And if it's a team where it's Sergeant Hammer and Sergeant Hammer versus each other, the team who initiates the fight first, they're just going to kite him back, and they blow him to pieces, and they roll right over top of him. So Sergeant Hammer is incredibly strong right now because of all these updates.
Yeah, playing a lot of Tyrael, I've had to charge into Sergeant Hammer a million times because I want to take him out, and you want to be close, because the farther you are from him, the more damage he does. So it's like I charge in and I have to take care of him. That's like my goal in the team fight when there's a Sergeant Hammer on the other side of the battle. Anyone else play Sergeant Hammer at all lately?
I haven't, but I've gone against him or her, and she seems a lot better than she used to be. I've been meaning to play her, but most people I get on my team that play her are either really good or insanely horrible with her. But the people who are really good, she seems like she's a lot better than she used to be.
Yeah, I played her a couple times, and I would agree, and I played against her a lot. I feel like she's getting a lot more play now. More people probably bought her because of these changes.
There's nothing Sergeant Hammer can do that a wall of zombies can't take care of.
Right,
That's what I found out.
Is the biggest problem for Sergeant Hammer, because she can't move.
Oh, you guys have played with me, and just you can tell when I hit that wall of zombies on her, because I just laugh maniacally.
Yeah, a maniacal high school girl
Sounds like the
giggle, one
Star-
half, 6 in one way, half done it dozen another. Stitches. Navox, do you not like Stitches?
Oh, I just don't like going up against Stitches because that whole devouring thing and walking you. Like the thing that and really good players are doing this. I can't fault them for doing this, but they'll gobble you up and run you behind the gate. And I'm like, oh man, that's annoying. I hate that ability.
Yeah, no,
so much.
It's a pain. I think we were playing when that was happening, and I think the one thing about it is at least he's not the only one who can do it. There's a couple, Diablo can get you behind the gate.
Right.
Tyrael can get himself beyond and past the gate. If you get past that gate, just run up and get away, because you're not. I feel like if you're in, you should be able to at least get out. I don't think it shouldn't be like the wall should be like one way for enemies. They can get out, but they can't get in. So at least there's some hope.
Speaking of,
I think Ben likes it. Josh, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, it was a little off topic, but it deals with being stuck behind that wall. Have any of you actually gone through the jungle running away from an enemy and end up behind their gates, and you're like, ah, I'm stuck.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't my house.
Pathing.
Yeah, this doesn't look safe.
No, there's the pathing. They supposedly fixed it a little bit with when there's walls involved, but I still see problems. Let's see. Tassadar, just some basic changes. A little bit of a nerf in terms of how much health he had. I did feel like he was a little strong. His void shift duration is down, so he can't get away as far. You know,
I'm surprised they didn't do anything with his wall. I just don't think that wall lasts as long as it should. That his the power ability he does to put that wall up. For me, I guess it doesn't last as long as I would like it to.
You know, that's one of those things where it's like if you're a good Tassadar, the wall's good, and you might want it longer. But if you have a bad Tassadar, your team gets stuck behind the wall.
Yeah,
and gets murdered.
that's true.
This happened before to me.
Yeah, so it's like how bad are they going to troll their own team with it? How long is it going to last?
That's true. That's true.
Tychus again, he's very similar. You know, he just like Illidan no longer gains attack speed per level, but he's kind of set a certain amount. And his Odin had a little bit of an increase in his strength, and I think it needed it.
It needed it. It wasn't even a threat before. People would just down you with it. It's like, oh, I'm in the Odin. No, now I'm just dead. It doesn't really do anything. But I'm also glad to see that they upped his attack damage from, what was it, 4 to 6 now? Because he didn't feel like he was much of. I liked playing Tychus. He was the first guy I bought. He was the first one that I actually purchased, and I'm like, this guy's cool. He's got a chain gun and everything. I'd go out there and I'd just get walked over. I'd get destroyed. It didn't feel like he was much of a threat. So this might be this is a welcome change. The attack damage.
Have you played him since the patch?
I haven't. I have not.
Dude, you got to, man. I was destroying faces with him. He's so good now.
Yeah, he is.
That's good to hear. Because
run with a support, whether either like a Lily or an Uther. And you're just gonna mow down the lane the whole time.
Now, is it still the same? Like the build that I go with, I just my build hasn't changed with him. I go with the AP rounds. I go with the grenade damage. I go with the laser drill, and then I just keep with lead rain, things like that. I don't know of any other builds that I would want to go with him. I see a lot of generic skills that are thrown in here, and I don't know, like Vampiric Assault. It's like,
It helps your sustain in a lane, especially like if you're with one of your champions that are right behind you and you're up against their turrets and they're like really close to being taken out. If you sit there with Vampiric Assault and there's a guy on the other side of the wall just throwing pop shots at you, you can have enough life drain to sit there and drop the turret before he ever becomes the threat to you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's cool. All right.
Especially if you get the wind up talent where after 3 seconds he attacks like 50% faster or something. It's so worth it.
Oh, all right. Good to know.
And next, what I would consider the best change in the game for this patch is Tyrael. I went from not playing Tyrael to having all 3 skin colors in Tyrael and all the skins available for him as well. I think they did an excellent job fixing Archangel's Wrath a little bit. They added the ability for each enemy you hit, 20% of your death timer goes away. So there's been times in a team fight where the team forgets that they killed me and they still try to attack me, but they end up like moving in and I explode on all 5 of them. And it's like an instant respawn. So much fun. And if you even if at like late game you get like 2-3 of them in an explosion, you're able to come up so much faster and just be more effective in game. So you're not as afraid to die as you used to be. Like as Tyrael before, you're made to like take health away from people, but if you died, it was like the worst thing ever because you had to take a while to come back, and it felt way too long. The boosts they have to the dying, where you can give people shields, and you can use your abilities, but they don't do damage to kind of get a little bit of bonus movement. Really neat with that. The fact that they got rid of the shield your ally or pull the damage from your ally and added their smite. It's so cool because you're able to damage enemy, and then you even give a buff for anyone that runs over that area. I've used that a ton to run away from people, so it's like a kind of a dual purpose ability now. It's not all about damage. It protects your allies by letting them run away faster. I think it's amazing. And I believe it's righteousness is the shield. It no longer just shields Tyrael, but allies that are around him. And there's so many talents now that let you just improve that either by doing damage when it expires, making it last longer.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Have you guys played Tyrael at all? Like I said, I know I've been playing a ton of
Yes.
Tyrael. So
Yeah, I play him as a tank though. I build him out as a tank build, and I really do like the changes that they made with him. I'm lasting a lot longer, and I feel like I'm more of a threat now when I'm with a group of people. So it's he does a lot of damage. If you get him 1-on-1 in late game, good luck. Good, I mean, because he'll destroy you.
he has some really good talents to increase his damage, specifically after he dashes in. So he dashes in on you, and then he's able to just lay out a ton of damage. And if he doesn't kill you, he gets you so low that you need to back off.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. He's my favorite hero now.
Yeah, I surprisingly before the patch with him, I played him a ton. I loved him. I have all the skins. I have the first tint unlocked. I was working on the second one. After the patch hit, haven't played him at all. And I've been meaning to. It's just I've been working on different heroes doing the quests. And every time I play a new hero, I'm like, this hero's so fun. So eventually I'll end up going back to him. But anytime I go against him, he seems so much better and it's just cooler looking, his attack abilities and stuff like that. He seems like he's really BA right now, and I can't wait to get back in and really play him.
The black and red Seraphim skin might be the coolest skin and color combination in the entire game.
That's the one I always use.
It is.
Next up, Tyrande. She got just a little bit of a change. Her Hunter's Mark got reworked. It's now an activated ability that can't be put on structures. It used to just automatically show up, and now it's a 20-second cooldown. I don't think it's much of a change. I think it was...
Was this the ability where if you hit the guy, you heal?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yep, where anybody who hits it
Pretty
heals.
big change.
I mean, it's a big change, but I feel like she still has a powerful kit, even though she has to do it this way. I felt like if you put her and Tychus together, his attack speed was so quick, it was a little broken with certain hero combinations because it was every time you attacked. Now it's still the same way, but it can't be up 100% of the time.
Is she really a support at this point? I mean,
yeah, she still has a heal. She's like that little bit support, like assassin. I feel like, and I think a lot of heroes kind of don't fall 100% into like support anymore. They're support with a little bit of an assassin feel, or like Rainer's an assassin with a little bit of a warrior feel. I don't think she's definitely more support than assassin, but she definitely has that little bit of an assassin feel. Uther.
I haven't played him.
Oh yeah, Uther. You know, if Rem was here, she would be all about this. But I think Ben is our Uther player now. I don't think anybody else has really played him. Josh,
I played a little bit, but I think Ben's played maybe a couple matches with him.
Yeah, I think he has the golden Uther.
I do. I've completed the entire hero quest line.
Now, is the thing they talked about at PAX about him changing his look? Is that in the game yet, or is that something that's
not in the game yet?
Not yet.
Nope. That was the first thing I looked for when I got it passed. I was like, nope, not here.
What do you think of the changes to him?
They're not bad. Even after the patch went in, I still played a ton of them. He's my #1 champion right now. My main thing, Hammer of Justice changes, I don't feel they were necessary because Hammer of Justice really didn't do that much damage anyways. It was just, a stun with a little bit of damage. And now it's like, hey, we're just going to reduce a couple different things here. And it's like, really didn't feel like it was necessary. It wasn't a massive threat. Mm-hmm. So... everything else, it's fine. Divine Shield cooldown was definitely a buff. Now it's on par with Divine Storm because Divine Storm is also a 90-second cooldown, so they're both right there with each other.
I still see no one take Divine Shield, and if they do, they're like, damn it, I grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah, some people were like, I got actually yelled at in a match the other day when I was Uther. I picked the Storm, and I used it perfectly in all of our team fights, and then some dude was like, you should have taken Divine Shield. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, did you realize that we just won that team fight because I stunned everybody and you nuked them? Like, so I didn't quite understand. he just didn't understand why I didn't take. I ended up dying from the team fight, but I was the only person that died because they focused me and we wiped the entire team. So I don't understand why he was yelling at me for not taking the shield. But yeah, I I rarely see anybody take Divine Shield. Maybe that'll change, but Divine Storm is just too good. So.
And finally, we're gonna talk about Vala the Demon Hunter. David, you played Vala a bunch before. Have you played her much lately?
I haven't played her really too much since the patch. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really feel a lot different. I mean, it's they've tweaked it a little bit here and there, but you know, she's still my little Spider-Man hero, bouncing in and out.
She got the attack speed change to that. You know, Illidan and Tychus both got that. You know, flat 0.6 attack speed, and like she got, however, got a reduction in her damage because her damage is really high, and now it's a little bit lower. So. I know she still kills some of the people pretty quick, so I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I was doing with Vala was revolving around that puncturing arrow ability and kind of using that to finish people off. So maybe I'm not seeing it as much as some other people. For her, I usually concentrate more on movement and just being able to jump in, jump out. So I don't really, I didn't feel the change that much with her.
Okay, well, that pretty much does it for our patch notes and our news this week. Our show's running a little low, but we're going to kind of hit the hero spotlight and talk a little bit about Abathur. So we're going to jump on into that right now.
This is the Hero Spotlight.
And like I said, we're going to be doing a little bit of talking about Abathur, the Evolution Master. He's a specialist. And David, what do you know about Abathur? Anything?
Well, Abathur is part of the Zerg in StarCraft. He was created by the Overmind. He's basically kind of put together from a bunch of different Zerg species, so he's unique. The only Abathur in the universe is Abathur. He basically is in charge of all evolution with the Zerg. He's kind of their chief scientist for that. Basically, when he looks at somebody, he doesn't look at them as a person or an individual. He's just looking at them as, component parts that can be improved. So he's he'd be the Azeroth Choppers type, except he's looking at you that way. And what is basically if he can, change you into a horde bike or something like that. He's responsible for the Queen of Blades. He's also, there's a lot of involving him with, the more current content, and I don't want to get into that. He's a really interesting character, kind of a really cool concept for a character in the game. Just in that he has a supremely alien view on and way of thinking. So I do like Abathur a lot. I don't think I'd want him in my house, but I do think he's a cool addition to the StarCraft universe.
We're gonna rank heroes from now on how likely David is to invite him over for like Tim Hortons.
Nova 1, Abathur last.
So his first ability is his heroic trait is that Abathur spawns. Oh, sorry, it's Locust Strain, which he spawns a locust to attack down the nearest lane, and this locust goes down once every 20 seconds.
He also has I can't see it because there it goes. Symbiote assists the target allied unit or structure, allowing Abathur to shield them and use new abilities from the host. It lasts for 45 seconds and cannot be used on himself, Grave Golem, or summon units.
Another ability he has while he's in Symbiote is Stab. Shoots a spike towards target area that deals damage to the first enemy it hits, so it's just kind of like a poke ability.
It's also got a spike burst that deals damage to enemies near the ally that Abathur is assisting.
And I do not... How do you pronounce that? Carapace?
Carapace.
Carapace.
Carapace, there we go. Shields. It's a shields that assist allies. Lasts up to 8 seconds.
And there's also Toxic Nest, which spawns a mine-like nest at a location that becomes active after a short arming time. Deals damage to enemies that contact it and reveals an enemy for 4 seconds. The nest lasts for 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm. And unlike other heroes, Abathur just right now has one heroic talent. So when it pops up, you have a choice of one, and it's his ultimate evolution, where Abathur creates a copy of the target ally hero and takes control of it. The evolution's abilities are all based on his current level, talents chosen, and obviously what talents the hero that he's copying have. I think this is one thing that they really need to work on for the next patch. I really want to see a second heroic ability for him, because I think they're kind of missing out on maybe a little bit of flavor from the character by just making it a dead perfect copy. Like David said, he's someone who say, hey, how can I improve upon that creature that I'm looking at? And this, they're just making a copy. I would almost think that like a cool heroic ability would be something where as he is out and about on the field of battle, he kind of picks things from his enemies and almost makes like his Locust empowered based on those, almost like the first kind of passive heroic talent that we're going to see out there. Kind of like, oh, he's going against Uther, maybe his Locusts get a healing ability. So you almost become like a Locust base, and the Locust gets stronger as the match goes on. I don't know. You guys can call me crazy if you want.
Well, I mean, in Abathur's defense, and even though he's a bad dinner party guest and all, when you're talking about him just making a copy of the target ally, I don't play him a whole lot, but isn't actually the copy a little bit better than, like, doesn't it have more health or something like that than the target hero? I thought that was something that ability does, which kind of gives you that whole idea of, like, it's making a better.
Mm-hmm. It did, but not. It does, I should say, but it doesn't do it as much as it did before.
Yeah.
Like that was like in the first round of nerfs where they cut out the amount of health they got significantly. Like at first they were getting like ridiculous amounts.
Okay.
Any of you guys actually have a chance to play Abathur at all, or a little bit of trial?
I haven't. He was the last hero I bought, and I bought him like 3 days ago.
I've played him a bunch. This was the hero, and if you go back and listen to one of the first few episodes, this was the hero that I thought I was going to be playing a ton of. And I'm just having a hard time, like, finding his role. Like he has that specific role, he can jump around, and I just feel like it's not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Well, the problem with Abathur, too, is that it kind of sticks everybody else into very specific roles, right? Like, if I'm playing Witch Doctor and there's an Abathur on my team, I'm like, oh, crap. Like, because then I got to, like, actually, play normally. I can't just run around and hit merc camps and things like that. Like, I'm really kind of now stuck into just an assassin role. Mm-hmm. Because you're essentially losing a whole, person in the lane. And I know he adds a lot of benefits and things like that, but you do still really, really feel that lack of a hero.
Yeah, and I'm almost starting to feel that way with, like, there's, like, him, Murky, like, very specific special class where if you have them on your team, you don't want another specialist. If you have Witch Doctor and Gazlo, I feel like both of them can kind of take turns kind of doing their role, and they can both, take the towers or protect areas. But I feel like those two, Murky and Abathur, are real rough. I was in a match where I was Murky, somebody else was playing Abathur, and we could not, for the life of us, get two people to split in the top lane to separate. So I had to play Murky solo bottom lane, and Abathur was sticking with the three people. So it was rough with that kind of a composition.
But because you had Murky, you won.
No, we didn't, because I wasn't able to Murky them.
Yeah. How did we go this whole show without hearing talking about Murky for the last time?
I'm not sure. Let's think. Skins. I like Pajamather. I think everyone can agree it's one of the best skins in the game.
Pajamather is pretty rad.
He's rad. We're back in the 80s now.
Yeah, man.
I feel at home.
You feel at home. Anybody have any final thoughts about Abathur? I know it was a pretty quick spotlight on him. Like I said, I don't think a lot of us have got a lot of playtime with him, but later on we'll revisit him when maybe somebody has played a bunch. Maybe we'll bring like an Abathur veteran onto the show who can just like lay the law and be like, this is what you do.
Not really. I mean, he's one of those champions. It's either you understand him or you don't. He has benefits, yeah, but I would prefer, a full regular 5 composition, because especially the way it is right now, where it's just a casual versus mode. As you said, if you get stuck with another specialist on your team and Abathur's there, you are severely gimped. Just because the The only participation he has in that other team fights is shielding and poking people or cloning somebody and then using their abilities. However, the problem with the cloning is a lot of Abathurs I've seen, they'll clone whoever is doing the best in your team. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best champion you want to clone to take into a team fight. So
it doesn't mean they know how to play them.
Exactly.
That's the problem. It's like in Mortal Kombat, if you played Shang Tsung, you could turn into anybody, but it didn't mean you were going to be able to win because you couldn't perform the moves you needed in order to get to that point.
Correct.
So you need to be, in order to play Abathur well, you need to have played pretty much every other champion enough to understand how they work.
Yep.
I would like to see an Abathur copy Murky, and two Murkies go.
We've done that.
Oh God.
Did it work good?
That. No, because we couldn't get to the point in the game where it would be useful. That's like I said, I played with an Abathur.
The funny thing with Abathur too is I haven't heard anybody say that they don't like playing him. I've just heard people say they don't like playing with him. Like they don't want him on your team. Like I feel like now he's kind of a little oppressed. Like I'm feeling a little bad for him. It's like, oh nobody, who invited this guy?
The hero design is great, and it shows that Blizzard is capable of flipping, the series up or the genre itself upside down and kind of creating really out of the box characters. I just don't feel like he has a really, really good fit in the casual environment just because there's too many things that can go wrong when the team comes together. If you only have two people and you got to get matched with 3 randoms, too many things can go wrong that automatically put you down far below the other team. I think he'll be a lot more vital, depending on the composition that is, when we get into ranked and we're looking at competitive matches between teams.
I'd agree with you 100% on that one. Okay, I think that'll do it for our Hero Spotlight. Quick podcast news is that we are continuing to do the Nexus Ultimate Showdown, where you get to go and vote on your favorite Blizzard heroes to see who would win. And now that we're 2 weeks into this, we have finished the first round. Did you guys get a chance to take a look at that and see what's going on?
When I looked at it was still a previous screen.
Yeah, well, it's official now. Nothing I didn't find too surprising. A lot of Warcraft people getting picked because people don't know the StarCraft hero or the Diablo hero. But I think it'll be interesting once it kind of breaks down a little more. So head on over. There'll be a link in the show notes of how to vote. Vote for your favorite heroes, and we will see who is the best in the end. I would say that the only thing that really caught me off guard was what was it? Is Uther losing? I thought people would vote for Uther to beat Diablo. I don't know why.
Why would you think that?
I don't know.
Everybody likes Diablo.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people like Uther too.
You got a game named after him. You like not voting for Warcraft.
It's like not voting for Warcraft. Oh man. Well, I think that'll about do it for our show tonight. Everyone, go ahead and take a look at that tournament. Go vote, and as we get a little bit closer and there's a little less, we might be able to take a little more time to really go over like who won. Man, it was a good show. Navox, why don't you go ahead and start off, let people know where they can find you, tell them how they can listen to your podcast and all the fun stuff.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter, NavoxCTR. If you want to join us in the chat room on The Converted, we record every other Monday. Like, we won't be recording this upcoming Monday, but the following Monday we'll be having a live recording. That's Twitch TV/Converted Podcast. You could also follow us on Twitter, Converted_CTR, and our YouTube channel, Converted Podcast.
Okay, Ben, let him have it.
You can find me on Twitter at Stacks and Packs. It's STAKSNPAKS. Pretty much just hit me up on there. If you need anything, I'll answer it. And if you're looking for a Wildstar guild, hit up obj1.net, and we're forming a Dominion guild on there on PvP server.
Man, boo, Dominion, boo. Josh, what are you up to?
Kid.
Sound like you just booed me there for a second.
No, that's after the show.
Oh, thanks. When we play together. Okay, I see. You can find me at Packuan_AIE on Twitter. It's PAKKUAN_AIE. Yeah, that's basically my only presence really that I care about. So follow me on there, tweet me, wherever you want, as long as it's nice.
As long as it's nice. Yeah, they must be nice tweets. It's a rule. David, you're up. What do you? Where can people get hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at BerlandCTR. That's Berland with 2 L's, 2 A's. Right now, you can also my raid team, Salad Senate, in the CTR Guild, also streams on Wednesday, Thursday nights. So if you want to see a mage who's expert at setting out the refreshment table and buffing everybody with arcane brilliance, and then maybe just being okay at the other stuff, you can come watch me there. We're doing Garage a lot right now. We always have a great time.
Mm-hmm. And you can reach me at Geek of Random over on Twitter, or the show directly at the Nexus Podcast. We really would love it if you guys could let us know what you think of the podcast. Send us your questions. Send them to show@heroesofthenexus.com. And for those of you who are listening, come join us in the chat room. We record every Friday night, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific, at twitch.tv/heroesofthenexus. If you're in the chat room, or you want to know where else you can find us at youtube.com/heroesofnexus in order to see the live show, but in a video form, just like if you were here, if you can't make the time. And you can download us on iTunes, Stitcher, and the Windows Marketplace. Go ahead and leave us any 5-star reviews. This past week, I just remembered this now, Triumphy, he went in and gave us a nice 5-star review. I want to thank him for listening. We've actually had the time to be able to play with him in game.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a great player as well. He plays a mean Illidan, even though he thinks his Illidan's a little weak right now. Other than that, please take the time to go to patreon.com/thenexus, help us support the show. And we are proud members of Catalyst Gaming Media, where you can find blogs and podcasts and video. Walmartian's a part of it, Lignar and Epic Podcast. So go ahead and check it out at catalystgamingmedia.com. Thank you all for coming. We will see you guys in the Nexus. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
I got Abathur at the door.
Okay, go ahead and stop on the recording.
Thanks, Nav, for coming, man.
Oh no, guys, I love being on podcasts. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I didn't have a lot to talk about. I mean, I haven't really had a lot of game time with this, so I have like 3 guys I've been playing.
No, it actually worked because you played. Wait,
I was like, I wish we had like Zeratul. Like, if
why wasn't Zeratul there? That's why. I
don't know. I would have loved to have talked about it.
Man, we were doing M through the end, and I assumed Zeratul was there.
Was he on there?
He didn't get any changes.
Damn it!
No.
That's why I thought this was gonna be a good show for you to be on.
They can't really do anything with him right now, because if they buff him in any way, shape, or form, it'll be imbalanced. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty strong.
Oh man, that's so funny because I didn't even notice. I was just like, oh, Navox, he'll be able to talk about Zeratul. Oh man, that's too funny. No, it was fun. We'll have you on again. We tend to bring people back.
Yeah, I love it.
Time. Oh man, and we got an amazing show. People think.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Sorry, people in the chat room. I'm sorry if I haven't been responding because I'm not in the chat room.
Man, we need to
browser problems.
Make a call to arms about trying to unite the community to prevent toxic nature, because Wednesday I had the most horrible toxic player experience all day long.
Isn't that a shame that the toxic, that it's actually in the beta right now? Because you're there to play it, you're there to test it, you're there to have fun, and people are like, oh, F you, you don't know what the hell you're doing. I'm sorry, I just got here. I'm not a pro like you who've been playing for like 2 weeks. I mean, it's not, it's like,
Every time I get someone really bad, I tell them I'm testing the lose mechanic.
Blizzard needs to need to implement like the Xbox Live feature. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't want to play with this guy again. I don't want to see this guy again. I want to avoid this character. It needs to have a reputation. The whole BattleNet needs to have a reputation for people. So
yeah, I think that's going to come soon. I really
it needs it, because I don't want to deal with toxic people. My game time, I enjoy my game time. I don't want to deal with drama. I don't want to deal with toxic stuff. Competitive stuff, that's fine. I can be competitive with everybody else. Being competitive and being toxic are 2 different things. If you're just going to join somebody's game and bring them down, it's just go do something else. Go play in traffic. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Go play hide and go drink everything under the kitchen sink or something. It's like,
Okay, we're gonna.
I think we're pretty lucky in CTR because I think we'll always have people to play with.
Exactly.
Right? Like look how many people we have in there already, and it's like 95% of the guild hasn't been invited yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring down the stream, guys. I want to thank you all.
Okay.
We're gonna play a little bit afterwards, like usual.
Yes.
So we'll see a couple of you guys on there in just a little bit.
I'm
Thank
hopping
you.
in.
Have a great night.
Stay on Skype though.